details are definitely lacking, but Hackathon should be cool. I'm really looking forward to watching other people who are way better at Liquid than I am, like jump in there and crank some stuff out. So that was like Trudy from Design Packs
That's
mentioned
right. Yeah.
Anne was looking again. I was like, if Anne's gonna be
Yeah.
in there, that's no way. She's gonna crush. Like, there's no way.
Hey everyone. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Liquid Weekly podcast. I am your host, Karl Meisterheim, and with me, as always, is the seated and spectacles free Taylor Page. Taylor,
I
it's
was
good to
like,
see you
speckle
today.
free. What does that mean?
Spectacle.
Yes, spectacle free. Yes, thank you, thank you. I'm doing great, Carl. How are you, buddy?
But I'd just like to point out that we are flying solo today. There's no
Yeah.
guest lurking in the background. And Taylor, this is what we always intended when we started this podcast. Just you and me. No one else here to break up what we've got going on. But these days it's a rarity because we've just met so many interesting people that we want to talk with. So
Yeah, it's been
nice to
pretty
have
cool.
nice to have
Hmm.
this time again.
Yeah, yeah, it's almost humbling, almost, but not quite. That people just kept saying yes when we're like, hey, like you want to come on the podcast? And
Oh,
I just figured I'd like ask everybody, and we'd get like 30%, like yeses and like 70% nos. But most people when we ask about it are like, yeah, definitely. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I don't even know what to do now.
I would just like to qualify for previous guests and future guests that might be listening. We didn't just ask everybody. This wasn't like a numbers game. Like we are very
No,
intentional on who we invite on the show, and we think very deeply
no.
about it, and we respect you very much.
Well, when
Not
the
just a
people that
number.
I ask by everybody, because there's
Yes.
obviously people I've definitely said no to quite a bit.
Oh, really?
And so, well, I think we both are, you're looking for certain kinds of guests to come on, right? Like,
Yeah.
so, you want to
Not
make
too
sure it
attractive,
works for
so we don't want to
everybody.
compete with that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, exceedingly attractive. That's the goal. Every single time. All of our guests are beautiful people and wonderful inside and out, Carl.
Yes, yes, that's
Um,
true.
No, but it's been cool. Like the people that we have asked, like
Yeah,
it has been cool. I definitely have gotten more judicious in it too because people have kept saying yes. I'm like, oh shoot,
yeah.
like yeah, like let's make sure like these are all amazing folks, and they are.
We
So
owe it
it's
to
really
our
cool.
three listeners to be somewhat discriminating. So,
Two or three listeners.
speaking of which, if you're here listening to this, looking for some Shopify talk, we're going to get there. But
We will.
we have a habit of waxing eloquent about our personal lives and things that probably don't matter. But we like to talk, so we're going to have a little time just to kind of catch up and hear about what's going on in life. So, Taylor, I alluded to it already, but you've got some pretty big life changes that have happened recently. So, why don't you give me
Yeah, my
the update?
speckle slash spectacle free. So I had I had the surgery, the big eye surgery, and it was really interesting because you're awake for this whole procedure. That was kind of the scary
Ugh.
thing going into it. Yeah, but you're doped up, so it's fine. But I didn't know. I've never had surgery or anything like that. I've been very fortunate, very blessed up until this point, just never had anything like that. So I've never been on anesthesia. They also gave me a Valium and
Oh,
stuff, and so I was like, sure. Like I didn't know how I felt about taking it, but they were like, well, the surgeon really recommends it because obviously we can't have you. It's a very natural reflex to if someone's up by your eye, like poking around in there,
yeah.
and they're like, we just can't have you doing that during the surgery. And it's like, yeah, I mean that's fair. So but yeah, really, it was a really great experience in general as far as
The
like,
Valium or the surgery?
yeah, the Valium. I don't know, like I don't remember too much after all that, right? Like it's one of those like they give you the Valium, and then you get the anesthesia because I was worried about people like poking around in my
Well,
eye and
that's a
stuff.
natural thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and so, but even before the surgery, they gave me this Valium, right? And then they actually have to like draw on one of my eyes. So they
Okay.
have this special marker where they draw on it because one of my eyes has a really bad astigmatism, and so they had to make some markings for the surgeon. And so the nurse tells you, "Hey, I'm going to draw on your eye," and I'm like, "Okay," but
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
not that worried about it because I just had the Valium. So I'm like, "Okay, lady, that's cool," you know. And so, but she did, and I was kind of expecting, if you're on the other side of like a glass or something,
Mirror.
you've got
Yeah.
like a marker or something. I kind of thought it would like show up and I could kind of like read whatever she was writing. But no, you couldn't see anything. And then she was even like, "Oh, I messed up here. Let me do that again." And I couldn't feel it at that
She
point because they
messed up.
had
That's
number
not the word you
drops.
want to hear when you're
Yeah,
getting
right.
your
Like
eye
she's got
touched.
an eraser. Like no. But no, it was, yeah. Like I said, the whole thing was pretty great. I didn't have any bad reactions to anything, and it happened fast. I was so surprised by that. I thought it would, they told me going down, you're gonna be with us for about 2 hours, and so I was like, oh no, this is terrible. Like in and out in less than an hour, like the whole thing,
Wow.
even for me, showing up, doing all the initial paperwork, and then walking back and whatever. But after they gave me the anesthesia, yeah, like you see a bright light, don't go to it, or whatever. But like, and so I'm like sitting here waiting and like, when's this thing gonna start? And he's like, okay, I'm done with the right eye. I'm gonna move over to the left. I was like, whoa, that was fast. And then I see the light on the other eye, and I'm like, I wonder when this is gonna start. He's like, okay, we're all done. I was like, whoa, that was fast, like both times. So,
Yeah.
anyways, can see great. It's really cool. For people that aren't familiar with the ICL surgery, it's like they literally make an incision in your eye and insert
Okay.
contact
For those that are
lens back in
squeamish, you
there.
might want to just
So
hold on a second here. But yeah, go
it's
ahead.
fine. I'm
Tell
not
us.
getting into the graphic details.
Okay.
Like they put a permanent contact lens in your eye. That's the long and short of it. So how you see with your contacts, if you wear contacts, is just how you see normally. And so
So
it's been cool.
could you get the same effect if you wore contacts, just never took them out? They just kind of melted into your eye. Would that work?
Yes, that'd be the same. It would have been cheaper if that would have worked that way. They have, yeah, it's like some really special lens because since it is permanent, like, because like obviously your eyes will dry out. One of the reasons you have to take out contacts, right? Like your eyes dry out. You have to like use solution and stuff or whatever kind of type thing. And so this kind of lens allows fluid to still flow freely through the eye to keep it hydrated and stuff. So, I do have some contacts, not contacts, but like eye drops just in case I do start to like have my eyes get dry, but like I haven't had any issues so far. The only thing that's kind of bizarre is it has like, I do have like this little bit of a halo effect around some lights, which is kind of interesting. But it hasn't been so substantial or problematic and stuff. So that like I can't see or anything. Like I just wake up and see. It's weird. Like, so.
That is weird. So how about night? Do you get like halo around lights and stuff?
Yeah, some lights, it's very inconsistent. So that's kind of why I think it bothers some people enough that I've, at least from what I've read online, some people have actually had the surgery reversed, which is the
Oh,
interesting thing with this surgery over like LASIK. Like LASIK, once you do it, and they'll also get the halo effect in some of those instances too. Once you do it, like it's permanent. They use a laser to reshape your cornea. Like you're just done. Versus this, like they can theoretically like pull the thing back out if you don't like it or whatever kind of type thing. So,
hmm.
um, but yeah, no, it's not bad at all. Like at night, I had no trouble driving or anything.
That's amazing. Well, I'm
Yeah,
super
really
jealous.
cool. Hmm.
I think that's really cool. Those of us
Good.
that don't
You should
have
be
those kind of
jealous.
surgeries, my eyes are getting worse over time, and there's no hope for me. But I'm glad that you have at least some.
Huh.
I mean, I'm assuming when you get into your 40s and you'll maybe need cheaters as your
Yeah,
eyes
fingers
lose some.
crossed.
Yeah.
This last well, and my vision was so I was like near. I don't know if are you nearsighted or farsighted?
Can't remember which is which.
The near side is the
Both.
one where you can't see far, and the far
Okay. So
side one is where you can't see near. It's flipped. So
yeah.
I had a severe like nearsightedness where I mean like I could if I was holding my phone like this far from my face, I could tell you my phone was on or off just because the screen was lit up, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what was on the screen. Like that's how bad my vision was beforehand. And now it's like I'm seeing 2020 in my right eye, like better than 2020 in my right eye. My left eye isn't quite at 2020 yet, but the thought is that it will adjust over time a little bit more. Um, but they'll also do LASIK even too. They're like, we're gonna make sure you see 2020 no matter what. So like if it's a couple of months out, like 3 months out, I think is when they like say if you're not at 2020, we would offer to do like LASIK or whatever on top of it. So,
Well, I'm super
but I see
excited
pretty
for
great,
you.
so I'm happy.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. So the nice thing about it is, I get to see all the nice weather here in Ohio now. This is perfect timing because we get to be outside more, and I don't have to worry about
Thought you're
all
being
that.
sarcastic. Okay.
No, well, no, the weather has finally turned here in Ohio from like gray skies. We have
Yeah,
perpetual
it's
gray
rained
skies.
like
It
four
feels
days
like.
straight.
Well, yeah, but like we get breaks of sunshine. I don't know what happened. If this was always like this, or I just am only now realizing this because I graduated from high school here. Like I didn't live here my whole life in Ohio, but like I just don't remember Ohio being so gray. Like when we lived in Missouri and then came back um, here in Ohio because we moved closer to be with family. Like I don't remember it being gray like 6 months out of the year straight. Like it's
Yeah.
bizarre. My wife and I've been talking
Might
about
want
this a
to
lot.
Should have asked about that first, huh?
Yeah, right. How much sunshine
With
y'all get?
with the whole eye thing, one last thought for me about
Mm.
that. It really makes me wonder, A, what would people like you have done back in history? Would you just been consigned to a life of like only being able to tell if it was day or night, and that's about it?
Probably pretty much.
Or
I've actually thought about how fortunate I am to live in this kind of a time where, like, one, had access to even corrective lenses or anything at all where I could see. But then, yeah, two, you know, just that I can get to access to a surgery now. Like, it's this good, even where now I don't even have to do contacts. So, yeah,
that,
I don't know. I don't know what would
that
happen.
that brings me to my second point, which is you often ask the question, like at parties, whatever, like what modern invention would you wish you had, like 100 years ago, whatever, right? Or
Mm,
what modern convenience are you thankful for? I guess maybe that's a better way of putting it. People say things like, "Oh, indoor plumbing," or antibiotics, or iPhones, whatever. Um, Anesthesia. I think people overlook that one. Like,
people look
there's,
over, look at that.
can you imagine how miserable life would be without anesthesia? Like, most of us hopefully don't need it from the course of
Right.
life, but when you do, oh my goodness, it's so good.
Yeah, like my first experience was fantastic. Apparently, I was pretty fun on the car ride home. My wife had to drive me, so that was that was a bit of an experience apparently. So,
That's what I'd be most afraid of, honestly. It wouldn't be the eye stuff. It would be the what stupid thing or terrible thing am I going to say in the car when my filters are down.
no, that was for I don't know. Like if you've seen you've got kids, so I don't know if you've seen
I
the
do.
Zootopia movie. Have you seen
It's a
that
good
one?
movie.
Okay, so there's that sloth character on there. Apparently, that's basically what it was like talking to me. Like everything was just really slow, So, my wife got a real kick out of that. Apparently, I had the same conversations over and over again, and everything was just really slow and coming. So,
Ah, it's a
and
little
I don't
taste of your
remember
future.
anything. I remember getting in the truck, to drive home, and we swung through a drive-through to get some food because you had to do the thing fasting, and
Get the
I
munchies when
remember
you're on that stuff. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Arby's brought their potato cakes back, and I said that was what I wanted. And so, like, I got some Arby's potato cakes, and we finished the drive home. I don't remember anything between then and there, and just showing up at, hey, this is our house. Great.
I want to check your credit card statement. My wife might have taken you shopping or something.
Oh man, I don't, dude. Like, my wife could rob me blind. I would have never have any idea. She pays the bills and everything, so
Well, you wouldn't be blind this time, but she
I
might
wouldn't be
rob you still.
blind. I'd see it coming now. I'm gonna catch so many things. No, probably not.
All right.
There's a lot of things I just don't. I totally go over my head. I don't even go. I haven't gone shopping. I think since I've been married. Like as far as like clothes for myself, even.
It's
It's
just let
just
it go. It's pointless at this point. Why try?
yeah.
I am
It's
who I
just like,
am.
hey, if you're at the store, I need this, and she's like, okay, cool, I'll get it when I'm out, and that's about it. So you know, we both have our strengths. Mine are just I have a much shorter list, but I like to think a pretty critical list. And hers she just has a lot more strengths than me.
Sure. Can lift heavy objects.
I
Knows how
yeah,
to use
I'm
computer.
yeah, just reach stuff on the tall shelves, open pickle jars, that kind of type thing. Everything else she pretty much covers. So if she ever figures something out like that, like look into my mysterious death circumstances, like be concerned.
I will. Hey, speaking of, I don't have a segue. You've got some personal projects you've been working on that are Shopify related. So those that have made it this far, here you go. I want to talk about those
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah.
semi related, right? Like that's well, yeah. So shopinfo.app.
It
We
seems
were
pretty obviously
we
related
were
to
talking about
Shopify.
this, and you
Yeah.
should be happy because it's a Rails app. So like so I did that, and then a little Chrome extension for that, and um just have gotten it down to where it was kind of interesting. I started taking a little bit more feedback from other people too. Not that I wasn't taking feedback, but I wasn't working on it really other than just keeping like some information in the database
Yeah.
updated for themes. And so I built out individual pages now for that, like individual pages for theme listings. So Dawn has its own page and all this other stuff or whatever. And so another couple of pieces of feedback that I took in were to start tracking pricing, which was really interesting. I never really had an interest in tracking pricing for Shopify themes before. But I was talking to some other theme devs, and they were just talking about like how like yeah, like there's actually like a lot of price movements on the theme store, and it would be really
Really?
interesting to take a look at that. And I was like, okay, sure. So started tracking that, and interestingly enough, yeah, lots of data around that already. Like only since like starting to track that a couple of weeks ago. I had no idea that like theme prices moved around that much on the theme store. So I thought that that was really interesting. Um, that started also another guy
So,
on. Sorry, go ahead.
what would okay for those listening? Like, what would be the ideal use case for that besides snooping? Like, why would someone want to bother
Besides
to tool?
snooping, I don't
Yeah.
honestly. I don't know. I don't know what the practical use. So from theme devs, I mean, like actual theme devs in the theme store. This is where like I talked to some people, and they convinced. So, and I think this is my biggest problem too with shopinfo.app anyways, is trying to figure out like who is this tool for. At least initially it was like I built it because I would just like pop into themes when we were reaching out to merchants or they were reaching out to us, and I'd check to see what theme are you using, because then I can say like, oh yeah, like I have experience with this theme, like here's some
Right.
tips or here's the documentation, just because I don't know, like a lot of times people reach out about stuff that like they could fix themselves, and so if they just can be pointed in the right direction, that's just what I would typically do. So it was originally like that was just something that I did, and then when my wife started working with me in the business too, um, it was not like that it wasn't impossible, but like more cumbersome, obviously, for someone who's not a developer and like used to like looking for this stuff to like find that relatively quickly. And so I just built this as an internal tool at first, just to do that, so she could quickly find this. And then I was like, it makes sense just to like go ahead and like actually have a
Yeah.
database and like publicize this instead of like just finding the theme name and then going to the theme store, copying and pasting it into the search bar and seeing if there's a theme
Yeah.
match, right? So that was kind of like where it started. And so it was initially a merchant tool, but a lot of people who use it are devs. Like a lot of devs are using it just to quickly check a theme. And so I think the theme store pricing thing has been maybe kind of interesting in general, just to kind of like see how other theme shops are being competitive, or when they're making price increases, for instance, either a promotional price has fallen off or they've added new features to the theme that they feel like justifies the new price. So more like just interesting to kind of see the trends. And it really wasn't a substantial lift, to like add. So,
So you
um,
just crawl on the theme store then?
yeah, like so there's basically I used to do this manually, and that was starting to take too long, and then I figured it out, between me and ChatGPT over here, with the Rails app, just like modifying this crawler that I had. So instead of just checking the names for these, like let's go ahead and just like check listings based on the what's in the database and stuff. And so yeah, it checks now the price. I now have one where I can use it to modify to look for specific things like Octavian. It's another guy on LinkedIn. He's another Shopify dev. He had recommended also adding to those individual page listings, like just the documentation links for Shopify themes, just to make it easy to access via the theme listings. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like that's a good idea. That's very practical. So I can see the practical benefit of easily accessing that. And that's all on the theme listing too. And so I just, did a little update on that as well. So those are in the theme listings. Um, so yeah, like that's now I can just run like once a day. Typically I'll check to see if there's a new theme, and I'll add it to the database manually if it's a new theme. But then the crawler just goes through it, like checks all of the links in basically the database to see
Yeah.
like what it needs to check and if there are any updates, and then it just does that. So very, very easy to do now, and stuff compared
I
to
have
what it
some
used to
feedback
be.
for you.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Do you want it?
Do
Okay,
it.
first of all, when you enter a website, you should be able to just to type in the domain name without the protocol. Because I mean, 99% of sites are HTTPS, so it's just an
Mm,
extra step. It should be
okay,
smart enough to
okay,
parse that
okay.
out, right? I tried searching Liquid Weekly while you were talking. I got bored, sorry. And I had to type that protocol in when I didn't expect to. So I thought that's a nice little thing. Wouldn't be hard to add.
Okay,
Um,
that's fair.
it is very fair. Second thing, and since it's Rails, it's so easy. So easy.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. It is pretty
Uh,
easy to do in Rails.
I'm sure there's a gem for that. In terms of monetization, I don't know if you ever intend to do anything with that, but two things come to mind if you wanted to go down that road. One would be, I mean, I don't know how much traffic you get, but I can imagine a world where theme shops might want to sponsor or put some kind of message on a page, an ad, I guess,
Mm,
as people utilize the tool just to point out that, hey, we got this really cool theme. Check it out, kind of thing. I'm sure they would pay for that.
hmm
Second thing would be a service if you are doing pricing changes, like for people that are in that space that are trying to figure out pricing strategies and stuff, they might want to subscribe to a notification system that lets them know when things have changed for different
mm.
themes that they're maybe watching. You can see people paying for that too. Anyway, just throw that one away and noodle
Yeah,
over it.
those are all really good ideas.
I know they are, aren't they?
Because your ideas are always great. So it's a good thing they're recorded because now I don't even have to write them down. So
Well,
perfect.
plus when we go to court, I'll be able to say, "Look, this is original to my."
I own this IP here, so like,
But either way,
um,
like,
yeah,
just open the whole can of worms around like stuff like this, like even like the newsletter and the podcast and stuff like it's so fun to make tools for free because then you're not beholden to anyone. This community in Shopify is so great. I don't want to be part of the perpetuate perpetuation of like everything is out for a financial gain.
yeah.
Um, but at the same time, like little things like that that aren't intrusive, if there's a little bit of upside, it pays for a couple lunches, that kind of thing. Why not? It doesn't cost you anything. So.
Yeah, it's well, and it's hard too, yeah, because you need some incentive to stay up to date on that stuff, right? Because
Right.
like so even then, since like my whole freelancing business model has really shifted away from like onboarding and working with a lot of like one-off projects to like just maintaining kind of these larger engagements that are more ongoing. So I don't have nearly as much onboarding. The tool has actually become like less effective or useful for me personally. And so, I mean, it's $17 a month on a Heroku, whatever.
Oh,
Um,
Heroku. You must be
yeah,
rich.
because it was easy, and I don't have to think about it. And so,
But it's 17
um,
bucks a month with the database on Heroku?
yeah, that's what it. Yeah, uh-huh,
Oh, that's cheaper than I would have thought.
yeah, yeah. And well, I mean, again, like it's not, it's pretty simple database too. Like it's not like I'm doing anything fancy here. So, um,
What is that?
do you hear that? It's the. I don't know why it's going off my little Shopify counter right now. That's hilarious. It's on like a manual number, and I don't know why it's updating.
You've been
That's
hacked.
weird. So apologies for that interruption, folks.
That's all the new traffic coming to your little app because of our announcement here.
No, it's not. It's not. Oh, it's on the number like 41. It's supposed to be the episode number. I don't know why I have the blur on this anyways too. Apparently I
I
have
don't
this
know.
set up and I didn't
Depriving the
even.
world. You can see, but no one else can. That's really selfish, Taylor.
There, I just fixed it. Now you can see.
Wow.
So if you're interested in the Shopify counter and the Shopify supply shop, here's the little bid for it. This is what it does. If you have it set up to a manual number, so
Yeah, this is
it is kind of
interesting.
cool. Well, side note on that though, did you see like so the company that did the Shopify displays, Titbite, like got acquired and it's just going away. So all those really cool Shopify displays like are gonna essentially be useless here in a little bit, which really sucks.
Well, I thought I
So
saw a project where people hacked it and
yeah,
that you can do your own stuff. So
we'll have
don't know
to
what you
add
would do
that.
with that, but
Somebody, I think Harshdeep posted that in SDA.
yeah, that's where I read it. Good old
That's
Harsh Deep.
yeah.
Whatever
He's
happened to him?
he's just always on top of it, man. Dude, I'm getting ahead of myself here or whatever, but like
Oh,
he's looking to work at the
I
mothership.
know.
So
I saw that. Go Harsh Deep. I don't know if
yeah.
you'll know by the time we air this Harsh Deep, but we hope it went well for you because
Yeah.
that would be
He's yeah.
pretty sweet.
He's gonna be fine. He's gonna get his pick of wherever he wants to work. So
Yeah.
that's good for him. That's really cool. So
It's a
so
Ruby
yeah, so
shop, Harsh Deep. Just
well
saying.
you too. You're back. So, good segue for Shop Dev Alliance as well. So, Shop Dev Alliance is a Shopify developer freelance community, although not really
I've heard about
freelance
this.
exclusive. It's we've got a lot of app devs and other folks in there and stuff too. So just like experienced Shopify developers, it's been really cool to have people in there. We've had a really cool like the last briefing was really helpful. I don't know if you sat in on it, but it was about Shopify functions. So David Hollenbeck did an awesome job. It's recorded, so you can get to it later if you need to, but
I will.
you should check it out. He just
I will.
essentially rocked one out real quick, and David's just a super smart dude. He works at the mothership now too. So
I know. David. Oh, let's see.
yeah,
Okay, I must
Hollenbeck,
have.
not
I
Lindahl.
was thinking. Yeah, I was thinking of a different David.
Yeah,
I'm sure
not that
Lindell's
David.
very smart too, David. L, if
Yeah,
you're listening to this.
yeah.
Yeah, that's not what
He's
Taylor
he's
meant at
he's
all.
running his whole brand, like,
Well, that's
and
why I was like,
he's
wait,
got
how
two
did he find
littles,
time to
and
do that?
right, he would too. It's like somehow carving out an extra bit of time.
I want to talk to some of these people because I really hope they feel as much imposter syndrome as I do all the time. It's like, how are people pulling off all this stuff? I'm barely holding, treading water.
You work like a full-time job and then freelance on the side and then do Liquid Weekly. You're
And
doing
they
a lot of stuff,
don't.
my dude. And you have multiple children, so like you're
Oh
crushing it.
yeah, there's that.
There's kids, man. Yeah. They are
They're
both
great.
a help and a hurt sometimes, you know? It's just what it
Yeah.
is.
No, I love them very much. Actually, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I won't go into this because I didn't put it on
Yeah,
the
let's
agenda,
segue
but
to your personal stuff. Do it.
okay, well, this is not on the agenda, but I'll talk about it. First of all, thanks
Oh
for the
no.
update.
It's not on the
And those of
agenda?
you
Not
that
allowed.
aren't in SDA, you should apply. I'm in it. It's awesome. I love the community there, and it's great. Don't know what I'd do without it, honestly, because the other Shopify Slack, the official one, is nice, but it's mostly people asking me if they can work for me.
Yeah, it's tough now too because so the Shopify Partner Slack was and still is amazing. It's a really great resource. Like you can search and find really great answers in there and stuff. But like one of the really beneficial things was product leads would hang out in there, and they're not really hanging out in there as much as they used to. They're in the new Shopify community forums, which is great. But it's just, some stuff is just like easier to go back and forth with on Slack. I also just saw you change my name to Eagle Eyes on here. You're
You
ridiculous.
do have eagle eyes. See, it was a test.
But anyways, your
You can change
thing.
it back. You're a host. Yeah, so my thing.
I'm keeping
So,
Eagle Eyes.
I have multiple children. Redundancy. They want single points of failure. And my middle child, I've thought for years, like I think she has kind of an engineering mindset. All my kids are wonderful, but I kind of saw that in her, and I thought she really liked this. And I tried to get her into Scratch a couple years ago,
Hmm.
and it was okay. We messed around a little bit, but it didn't really stick. And then recently we've got back into it, and man, she's like taken off. And
That's
it's so fun
awesome.
to watch her get into this now, where she's programming like platform games, watching tutorials and figuring out how to do things on her own. And we talk about it at night together, and it's a lot of fun. So
That's super cool.
Scratch, yeah, Scratch Junior.
Nice. Scratch
That's
Junior.
all I.
I've heard of that one. That one does look really cool. I
And the
have to
cool
try
thing
to
about it
see.
is now that she's doing all this and she's kind of showing like her sibling, her older sibling is interested, and he's never had much interest in computers and kind of poo-poos them a little bit because he sees them as like he's an old soul, so a little too modern for his taste. Um,
Yeah.
but now that he sees this, he's like, "Oh, show me how you did that." And so I'm wondering if maybe this will be the gateway drug.
Yep.
Yeah, the computer equivalent of Valium, I guess. Whatever you took.
The computer equivalent of well, it's
I'm
I
sure
don't know. It's hard. Like I said,
it's a
my
slippery slope,
first
Taylor. You had a taste of
introduction
it now.
to I think that's really cool. They have something that's actually like more engaging. My first introduction to web development was like an HTML class in high school, and I just everything went over my head to where like I couldn't see what it could be. Like because you're just
Right.
using these super basic rudimentary building blocks, and there was no connection at that time with like this is what you can make, right? Compared to like this is what you can do with this basic stuff now. Like you've got to kind of like crawl before you walk kind of type situation. And so it's just it never clicked for me until like much later on in life when I had the chance to like see what you could actually do. So, never know.
The other thing that's interesting about this is I watch my kids and the amount of information they have access to, particularly through YouTube videos alone. It's like,
Yep.
man, I think about the stuff I tried to pull off when I was growing up.
Right.
If I would have had that, I would have been unstoppable. I mean, I
Right?
probably would have taken over the
You
world at this point.
you like the great
That's,
Emperor Karl.
I mean, I won't even get into the stuff I was doing because it was a different time and you wouldn't be able to get away with it today, but I would have been a lot of fun. Let's just say that much.
Yeah.
Um, so back to my life,
Back to your
and my
stuff.
personal thing. Yeah. Let me get off of all this stuff. I have not had any surgeries lately.
What a bum.
Uh, I am working towards the perennial problem that all humanity faces, which is trying to grow grass. If you live in the suburbs, it's a thing we all
Mm.
do in the spring, right? We had our whole
Yep.
yard torn up last year. If you followed the Great Basement Foundation saga of 2022, circa 2025, so that's still an ongoing issue. I don't seem to be very good at it. Um, which you
Well,
would think is hard. Like I follow the directions, I prepare the
that's all.
ground, put the
Yeah. Well.
seed, do the
Mhm.
thing, and it's just like, well,
Do
it's
the
just
thing. Did you
I,
lay down some straw on top of the
oh yeah,
seed? Do all that? Okay. Okay.
organic,
Water, like
free
the
range
what?
straw. Yeah.
I was gonna say what other type of straw is there? Organic free range straw. That's
Oh, I thought
amazing.
you had plastic straws. Is that what they meant?
That's yeah, those are better. It's the water travels through better. It is better. So
So there's that. We have
Hmm.
also been trying to grow like natural planting areas in our backyard
Yeah.
because I'm just tired of grass. Like I like nature, and our lot. We're lucky because it's a biggish lot for our neighborhood, but it's also whatever shape this is. Not a triangle because it's got a flat part. You're
Yeah.
smart. It's like one, two, three, four-sided triangle. Quadrilateral, I guess is what that would be.
That's
Sounds right. Um,
shape.
for Car, if you could take a moment out of your workout and just text me real quick the right name for this shape. I'm sure you know. Anyway, So it's very wide, but we see a
Yeah.
lot of houses. So it feels like a little bit like a fishbowl, right? And so when I look out the
Mm.
window, I love my neighbors, but I don't want to like stare into their window. So we're trying to grow some plants and stuff. And so I've got some fruit trees I planted a few years ago, some apple trees that are dwarfs. And then we've got some planting beds where my wife does some vegetable gardening, and then this like just natural planting area. So we've slowly been growing it, like making it bigger and bigger, to the point now where I'm sort of it's like guessing myself because I really want to put a swing set in for our youngest, like
Yeah.
3-year-old, but it's like we don't have any room for anymore because there's plants everywhere. But
Yeah.
it's a good problem to have. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's nice. I do, man, I really, the older I've gotten, the more I appreciate or understand at least how much I appreciate like just nature. Like I love
yeah,
the fact that our house has like a little bit of like actual woods. Our problem
I
with,
know.
we've tried to do a couple of like raised garden beds. Our problem is, we're out enough, we're rural enough. We're not like, like in a very, urban area kind of type thing. So like, but we're rural enough, like we have deer come through our neighborhood. And so, we have like tons of like squirrels and rabbits and stuff, and so we've a handful of times tried to do some raised garden beds since we've moved here. But I need to figure out a better defensive strategy because they just end up eating all of our stuff. I've had to chase
So
raccoons off of our porch even from a couple of just little planters we've had there in pots.
you're youngish, but do you remember the original Jurassic Park?
Yeah,
Okay. Remember how the fencing system worked in that movie? That's basically what you're gonna need, I
with the
think.
electric fence.
Yeah.
That's
Deer are
it's
crazy.
definitely it.
Yeah.
That's it. Definitely gonna do that. So, but yeah, like trying to grow stuff, like nature, all that stuff it's very helpful, especially if you're working on computers in an office setting a lot. I think just being
Yeah.
outside,
Well, now
it's
that you can
wild how
see
much it
it
helps.
too, I imagine it's a lot
Hmm.
more fun. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely helpful.
All right. So there's that. The other thing is summer camp activity. So again, back to the whole kid thing.
Mm.
We've got them, and
We've
back
got
to the
them.
whole like feeling like we're
Can't get rid of
barely
them.
holding it together here. It's like, man, it's summertime. What are we gonna do? And then
Mm.
you start looking into things like I probably should think about this. And then like everything you find is like already booked out. Like, wait, it's April. And that's May now, but it's April. And turns out like this world, the subculture of like tiger parents, for lack of a better term, like they're on it, right? And their
As soon
their
as
kids are
registration
signed up
opens,
months
yep.
ago. Yeah.
You got to have that. Yeah, February. February is when my wife signed our kids up for summer camp.
See, you've got one in your household. That's really helpful. I don't.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep. Yep.
so we're kind of left picking up whatever was left over, which I guess are the lame camps. I don't know.
The lame camps.
Uh, it's weird. You wouldn't think that would have to be a thing, but you do as a
Yeah.
parent. Have to kind of.
Or like you just like cash in on this. Like be like, hey, like there's a bunch of other people that haven't signed up for summer camps. You throw together your own quick summer camp.
We do like an
Okay.
AppSumo approach to it. We could aggregate a bunch of summer camp subscriptions into like a one
There you go. There you
or
go. Everyone just
service.
bounce
Like if we
around,
could surface that stuff because it happens once a year, right? So we're out of luck till next year, and the odds are we're gonna forget again a year from now. Are you kidding me? So there was a
Yeah, no.
service you could pay for.
So we have next time I'll text you when my wife signs up for our local one. Obviously they're different. They'll be the different time frames, but we're like, Carl, you need to sign up. This is no, she's my wife is always on top of this stuff because she knows. Well, and we live in again, smaller area, so like there's maybe 4 summer
One
camps
camp, right?
around
Yeah.
here, right? Like, and so it's we're fortunate enough though at least the summer camp we do is like our local YMCA, and so that's where the kids went to preschool. Well, my son went to preschool here. My daughter was already by the time we moved. Blah blah blah. So
No one
we at
cares.
least
Yeah.
know all the people and everything, and so like she's like on it. She's like texting and be like, hey, like let me know when that summer registration opens up, and I'm gonna go ahead and get in there. So but they do a great job here at our YMCA. But yeah, it is. We were talking to another parent who moved here recently, like in September, and they're like, "Yeah, I think we're gonna sign our kids up for the YMCA summer program." I was like, "Oh, brother, like that sucker's been open since February. You're not getting them in.
You're
Like that's
toast.
not
That's
gonna
right.
happen now." He's like, "Oh, what?
Oh man.
Seriously?" So it's tough.
It is very tough. Back to me. So another thing that I've been doing is, and I probably talked about this last year too, because I started doing this last year, but storm chasing.
No, I don't remember you
It's
talking about storm chasing. This is exciting. I saw this on the outline, and
yeah.
I tried really hard not to ask you about this too early
Yeah.
because I'm excited.
Okay, now bear in mind we live in central Ohio, so I'm not out there chasing storms. because it's not really the place you do that, and I'm not interested in driving across country to do it with my own vehicle. But I'm living vicariously because we're in a day and age, again, YouTube, right, where people
Hmm.
live cast this stuff. And so what's interesting to me is I've always been interested in meteorology, and severe weather's interesting when it's not happening to you. And so I like to follow along and use some of the tools that I use to kind of better understand the dynamics of these storms and how they're making these predictions. And then I also use that when we do have severe weather go through, as we've had lately, to kind of help me be more weather aware of what's happening around my family. Because, like, this probably isn't a good thing to say, but like, tornado warnings sometimes are like a whole county. And, like,
Hmm.
it's 2 a.m., you got kids in bed. Like, do I really need to yank them out of bed and go to the basement? And so you're trying to
Right.
figure, like, what are they seeing that makes them think they need to warn this, and kind of make that risk assessment for yourself, sort of thing.
Yep.
Maybe that's not wise. We'll see. Go back to hot me. But, that kind of stuff. So Radar Omega is a tool a lot of them use. So I got a subscription to Radar Omega, and you can look at like storm velocities and look for
Fancy.
rotation and things like that. Live streaming some of the big boys that are out there doing this kind of stuff is fun. And then one more piece in that news, I learned a new term recently called the Omega block, and this is a weather pattern where you've got like a central ridge and then two low pressure systems on either end, and it basically, as far as I understand it, and people that know more are probably thinking, Karl, you're an idiot, but basically it stops a lot of the severe weather from occurring because I think the ability for cold air and warm air to mix and kind of make some of those frontal boundaries that you need to make the instability that you usually see with that stuff goes away. So storm chasers, as of yesterday, I think are bemoaning the long-term forecast right now, which shows an omega block pattern coming in because this is like peak storm season and it looks like it's getting shut down for a bit, which is probably good for everybody else. So there's
Good
that,
for everybody else. Yeah. That's really interesting.
isn't it?
It
Raider
is.
Omega. It's like $5 a month to get,
Yeah.
all these amazing tools. Uh, Finally, and again, thank you for bearing with us. We're gonna get some good stuff here in a minute. But finally, it's May. Every year I get to this point and I'm like, I can't wait for the summer. Like it's gonna be so amazing. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna do all these things. And every year like breezes by. Because what you don't realize, Taylor, is that we just went to like 6 months of winter and we
Yep.
got like 3 months of summer. And it's gonna go like that, right?
It
And so
is. It
I'm
is.
debating like, what can I do to have a better work-life balance this summer so that I actually feel like I was present and engaged and did the things I want to do. So thinking hard about that. Like, are there things that I can actually pull back from for a season or like be strategic with vacation days to kind of create an environment where I feel like there's just more space. Because
Yeah.
as a entrepreneur, consultant, freelancer, hustler, right? Whenever there's space, you kind of start to fill it with like stuff that you want to pursue. Like, oh, I could spend more time on this project. So I'm trying to like not do that and just be more present.
Yeah. That is hard though, because yeah, every single time you find some little corner of your schedule, you're like, oh yeah, like I could do this extra thing now. Just like, why would you do
Exactly.
that to yourself? Just, like it's hard. I get that. It's a good goal to have. I'm really interested to hear how you figure that out because I would like to take a page from your book.
I'm just gonna pay you to do all my work, and then um,
It's a
speaking of
strategy. Speaking of
speaking of
work,
work, yeah.
yes.
So a couple things for me, and now we're back to Shopify stuff. I'm preparing for editions.dev. That's coming up for us in less than a month,
Whoop,
just
whoop.
about a month.
Yeah.
And towards that end, I have been rebranding a little bit. I've never been happy with Liquid Weekly, the brand, in terms of like the look and feel of it. I'm not a designer. I do the best I can. I
Mm.
even would pay people if I could figure out how to do it well. So ChatGPT and I have been going at it, and we've come up with some new logo designs, which I may or may not put on this podcast when I go around to editing it. But if you look at the website right now, I've got a new logo, and I've got a new
I did
background
see that.
banner,
Yeah, it looks good.
and the newsletter that went out this week, episode edition 181, I think. That's crazy. Had the new logo and banner on it. I know,
That's
right?
awesome.
So I don't know. Does anyone care? Probably not, but I'm a little happier with it. So we'll continue to tweak it. If
I
you
think more
are,
polished branding always helps.
that's what I feel too.
Hmm.
Uh, Along with that, I'm trying to make so the my vision for Liquid Weekly, the homepage, which may not even be relevant anymore with all the stuff we're seeing with AI and MCP and the ability to query stuff. But my vision had always been like this would be a repository for third-party Shopify development info by the community. Because I've
Hmm.
got, 181 issues worth of articles in my database now, some of which are no longer relevant because they're out of date, but a lot of which are, or at least give a lot of context around things people might be interested in. So trying to present those, have them on the site where people can easily find them, search for them, and get links back to wherever those articles live, so they can go directly to the sources and read them and have them help them with their development. So I actually hired a guy, a CA, David, different David, I think. Or is
Different
it the same?
David.
No, it's different David. And he wrote a script for me to help me with this because I was so busy. And it's in Python, which is very Ruby-like, so it's fine. But trying to grab
So
all that
it's fine.
content
It's acceptable.
and get that on there. Um, and then the site itself, like the templates, I still need to tweak because if you go to like the newsletter, for example, the
Mhm.
way it's presented right now, like just smashes all the content into the summary, and then like you click through and get to like the nice looking part. Like, okay, that's pretty lame. Should fix that. But I don't know if anyone even reads it because I don't know how to use Google Analytics, so it's hard to say.
Oh man, Google
Do you know how?
Analytics.
It's like, okay, I see at least someone was on the site this week, so there's that. I'll keep doing it. But
Well, you tricked me onto it. Like I'm looking at it now, so like you at least got like two now.
yeah,
Like at this point,
it's
so
my
two
guerrilla
views.
marketing campaign. So I complain about it, and people say, "Is it really that bad?"
No, I get it. Yeah, it's same. Like I have always worked better when like there's a designer involved and they hand me like the Figma and I'm like, okay, sweet, I can do something with this. But when people ask me to do that, I'm like, ah, like no, like this is
I mean,
hard.
like
So
your first
it looks
impression
good though.
now. Yeah, yeah, thank you. Okay. By the way, I just typed Liquid Weekly into the Chrome app bar. No protocol, and it just worked.
Into the
Just saying.
Chrome.
Into the Chrome address bar. I'm using Chrome. It's a browser. You may have heard of it. Um, just saying it worked without having to have the protocol to it. So yeah, back to my original point about
That's
your
your from yeah, that's your okay, okay,
about
okay,
your
okay, okay. Um no, that's yeah.
full
So
circle.
no, this is all good. Like, as far as like the changes that you've made, I think this looks really good. We need to update all the stuff for the podcast too for like you've
I
got a whole
know.
new logo.
So
We need a new whole thing for that. So
I'll work on that since I'm editing this episode.
bam. Just push that right off to you. See what I did there?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Perfect.
So there's that. If you guys are listening, you have ideas, I don't know what I'm doing, please share them with me. I appreciate some people have already used the contact form on the site to let me know about content they're interested in or things like that, or that they have made and want to share. So please, I welcome all of that. I actually do read emails. Um,
He does.
the next thing I'm working on, should I keep going or do you want to switch back to you? I can't
No,
remember how much
keep
I'm
going.
talking.
Keep going.
Okay.
Keep
So this
rolling.
is more like consulting work kind of stuff. I can't remember if I've talked about it or not, but I'm working on my first public app and have been like the whole
Hmm.
winter. And I'm just really slow.
Excited.
So apologies to my partner who's working on this with me. And the thing, we're down to the last few tasks, but the one I'm working on right now is internationalization, which I kind
Yeah.
of ignored at first because I'm like, whatever, I just need to get like the basics working. So I'm circling back. And it's not that hard, but I'm just trying to make sure I understand it completely,
Hmm.
make sure I'm not missing things. So this has actually been really neat in terms of using AI because I basically wrote like for the localization of strings, right? I took all the hard coded strings out, made it the locales file and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Super easy in Rails, just works. And so I had the English version, and so like, let's just try this. I said, okay, can you give me the French version of this? And it pooped something out, and I assume it's accurate. And then I asked it for the
Fingers
Spanish version,
crossed.
and it pooped another thing out. And I said, huh, I use poop to specifically because I'll be honest, that's about the quality of what you can expect in most cases.
Hmm.
So I showed my wife who took Spanish. I was like, does this look like real Spanish to you? She's like, yeah, it looks okay. So I don't know. I
Good
just,
enough for government work. That's
yeah,
that's what I say. That's
we'll see.
that's
That was
that's
super cool because,
nice.
we don't have general AI at this point, like people have been hoping for, but some of the basics that it can do, that would have taken a lot of effort in the past. I would have had to hire someone, they would have to translate
Yeah.
it, that kind of stuff. So, and
Yeah,
that
and you
took
can always
30
like
seconds.
improve them over the time.
Yeah.
So like as long as all the basics are there, yeah, gets you most of the way.
So I got that part
Nice.
down. I think I need to do localization of like currencies and things like that still, figuring out if I'm going to how to support shop currencies. There's lots of
Yeah.
variation, right? Shopify is such a big thing now. You got to consider that worldwide market for
Mhm.
an app that might have like, I don't know, 5 installs in its whole life. So
Well, that's why I was
we'll
like,
see.
man, are you really sure? Like, I'm kind of interested on like the whole focus for internationalization at all. If for a
Oh,
public app, like initial release, is that like a requirement or just something that y'all want to like be able to do?
I don't know. Can't remember if it's on the required list or not, but I think it
I
might
don't think
be.
it is.
Isn't
No,
it?
well, it's one of those like I don't know. Like this is one of those things, and in general, like I really like the idea of just like pumping something out quick, like as the MVP, and then because yeah, once you get it on the App Store, like that's like the biggest hurdle. So, um,
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting that you're focusing on internationalization. That's why I was intrigued if this is something specific to the app that you think it
Maybe
helps
I know
serve international
something
markets.
you don't know, or maybe
Maybe
I'm just dumb.
that's well, no,
Hard to
not
say.
Not dumb. That's I think
Well,
we
you know
all
what I
do
mean.
that as
Just
far as you need to talk to an actual app dev who knows what they're
uh,
doing, not me. But
I was gonna
that's
say I like
like
to
the
think I'm actual
feedback
app dev.
when I've been working on the app that I've talked to lots of people in lots of app devs with apps on the App Store. That was what a lot of people had talked about was focusing more so on critical stuff first, get it in, get it launched and stuff, and then you can start going in and adding different things. And in my mind, internationalization was something that was like a further down the road kind of type thing. So I was curious if it was something that aligned specifically with the app's main solve more so than like just something where you're like,
No,
we should really have this, kind of type thing.
I think it's more
Um,
just to check the boxes.
yeah,
I will say this though, just the string part, so easy. I mean, there's really no reason
yeah,
not to do it,
right,
essentially.
yeah.
So
Well, an
not a
AI,
big deal.
in my experience, especially with Shop Info, since it is a Rails app, like works super well with Rails. Like it's like wild how good it is. There's a lot of things where I'm like, I don't even have a grasp on this. So like I'm gonna ask it, and then it just cranks the whole thing out. I'm like, well, okay. I guess I'll research that later, but like this works.
Yeah.
So like
We'll come back to this, but let's just assume it works.
yeah.
The last thing I will say this,
Last thing.
I will confess this to you. So I've done apps before, but they've all been private apps. And
Yeah.
so with private apps, like there's certain concerns, but certainly not the same that you have public apps in terms of like the types of scaling you might need to do, the common idioms around things like or patterns more like billing and subscription handling and just the stuff that comes with that, right? So there's
Yeah.
tons of stuff out there about how to build apps, certain aspects of app building, even like tutorials on Shopify itself for how to do this. But
Hmm.
as far as I can tell, none of them really dig into these deeper concerns that you might have if you ever become modestly successful in the App Store where you have more than 10 installs. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think there's an interesting space here where there's a gap of information about how to do that well. It's in the
Hmm.
community. If you ask people about it, they share their experience, but there's lots of app developers out there who have done this, done things at scale, but I have not seen particular resources around this. I think it'd be really helpful. I would like
Have
to read
have
it if it
you?
exists.
I know it's not Rails, but have you checked out Harshdeep's course for creating Shopify
I
apps?
have. No, I have. Yes. And the part I was most interested in when I last looked at it, he had not quite finished yet. So I should revisit
Okay.
that.
Well, I was gonna say he has content in there for things like that, like billing, scaling, all that stuff. Pretty sure, off the top of my
Well,
head.
I sit corrected then.
Well, it's not out there really, like I'm pretty sure it's in there. Like I said, I'll have to double check that. And Harsh Chief can send me an angry message afterwards if that's not in there, or whatever. He'll probably just crank it out and add it like
Yeah.
after I say something to him. But like as far as that goes, I feel like he does have some stuff in there. But yeah, other than that, I think that was one of the reasons why like he wanted had to have done that because it's just missing with a lot of that stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Which makes you wonder if he does get this job that he's applied for. I don't know what Shopify's policy on outside of work projects is, but
Mm.
I get the impression it's pretty not happening. Although, like Coralie, she's continuing to do her newsletter, so maybe it's not a big
Yeah, I'm
deal.
not
I don't
sure
know.
how that works. I
I'll have to
know,
figure it out.
yeah, like there's specific things they can and can't do, kind of type things. Because I know they're always encouraged to like run a shop,
Oh
like
yeah.
run their own store. So maybe it's not like a specific like you can't have any kind of side hustle or whatever kind of type thing going on or whatever if your work's getting done, kind of type
I don't
thing.
know, but I mean
Don't
that's
know.
really the reason I haven't applied yet. It's not my lack
Yeah, that
of
makes
skill
sense.
or a
Yeah.
crushing sense of inferiority. It's just the desire to do side projects, and I don't want to give that up. But otherwise, they'd be calling me right now, and I'd say sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, they're already calling. You're just nah.
Well, that's a whole other thing about blocking unknown calls and how it's been a problem for me with trying to get my roof repaired. So we can go into that in another thing. But blocking
What?
calls is
Oh
hit or miss.
no.
But I do block them, so if I don't know you, you're not going to get through. So
Yep.
Shopify could be on that.
Yep. They could be. They could be. They
That's probably why.
definitely. Yeah, that's what it is. That's definitely what it is.
Anyway, so I thought that was interesting. I just thought I'm not particularly interested in writing that book, but for folks that are listening, if you're looking for ideas for content, if you have some of that knowledge, I think the community, me, would benefit from that. And
I think, yeah, I think
and
a lot of people would. Hmm.
if you're interested in Harsh Deep's course, which is a great course, there happens to be a link on the Liquid homepage that you can use to buy that course. It is an affiliate link, so it would buy me some coffee, which I don't drink coffee, but I would use it for other things like Diet Coke.
Start drinking coffee.
Yeah, so do Harsh Deep and Diasalvet and use that if you're interested in it. So,
There you go. Nice. We'll make sure it's in the show notes too for the
yeah,
sode
but it
with
really is a legit
with the
thing. It's a good
affiliate
course.
link. That's cool.
Yeah. You had some other things work related. Do you want to go into those at all? Your client work?
Yeah, I did have some things. Where are we at on time? I don't
We've
wanna.
been at this about 50 minutes.
That's okay.
Constructively, about 15 minutes.
Like, we'll chop it up. Y'all just listen to the podcast on like 2x, like through the other stuff or
Like
whatever. So
Karl said they've been recording 50 minutes, but I'm only 10 minutes into the episode. What happened to the other
I'm
40
not
minutes?
sure. I'm not sure
We
what this
cut it.
means. So yeah, so work wise, non side projects and stuff, client work and stuff. Lot of been doing a lot of this lately. I think my early freelancing work, I did a lot of like just building stuff without apps. That was like kind of my main niche or whatever kind of type thing. And so, which is great, but like obviously there's things you just need apps for. And so just have always had that communication with clients when that comes up. But now like I've kind of gotten into this like newer bit a lot, like with like bundlers, wish lists, quick add stuff, like all these other things or whatever, where you're using a public app but doing custom dev with the public app, which is really, really nice that there's a lot of devs that have kind of like embraced this too, where they've left it open enough that you can do that. And so that's been a lot of what has been I've been doing more lately. So which is nice. So that's pretty cool. And I know I'd kind of alluded to this a little bit too, as well. It's kind of interesting, just my general business kind of moving more towards like ongoing, like retainer kind of type. I don't like
Mhm.
retainer, the word, so I just use memberships is what or not memberships. I talked about doing memberships. Another guy does memberships. Brendan does them at 3 Acres, and so he's in SDA. Really smart how he has that set up. That's why that came to mind. But I do like subscriptions, so it's like one of those. Hey, if you want, we've got this work, so many hours this month or whatever, but you're not committing to like 6 months or whatever. It's just like, if you need me this month, great. Let me know if you don't need next month or whatever. And so that's worked out really well. But I've been able to still fill in some like daily work, just little one-off projects as well. I did next to none last year, like where it was just mainly like the ongoing monthly type stuff. And this year I've had more of like the monthly plus like the little stuff, which has been kind of interesting, kind of nice. I like it when it's short list of deliverables confined to a single day, just come
Yeah.
in, like crank out work and be done. That's really nice to be able to do that. So and so, this kind of
It's
connects
less,
to one of the points. What's that?
it's less context switching too, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's nice. Well, especially when at least when you're working with people on an ongoing basis, right? At least you're the main dev. Like no one's coming in and touching, messing with stuff. Like so you know when stuff's happening regularly, and versus like yeah, like if you just have these little one-offs every now and again, yeah, you're not having a context switch with. It's just like this short list of stuff that you know ahead of time you can crank out. And so we were talking about this with a couple of people about like AI and like how like we've been able to like move like get more work done, like right, like and I don't know if you've experienced this as well when with using AI, I feel like I've finally gotten into a good flow of using it where I do feel a lot more productive. And that's very nice with some of these because I've actually had to change some of these shorter projects, like I said, that are dailies. It's just like a short kind of like punch list of like, I know I can get this done in a day. But I've had people start creating like kind of like a wish list of like, okay, like I know I can get this done. Go ahead and give me a couple of other things just in case, like, because I'm billing them for the whole day. So like,
Right.
if it takes me 3 hours or 5 hours, like it's still the same. Like and so, I'll tell people like, give me a wish list too, like a couple of things, and if I have time, I'll crank these out too. And so that's been nice to like actually get clients like a wish list, couple of things too as well. Um, but AI has been able to do that, which is nice. So we had a discussion in SDA. We were talking about like how to approach this with billing and being more productive. But if you're billing hourly, you're making less money, and but you're using the tools to do it. So like, do you take on more work? And so that was more so my strategy is like, I mean, I'm just like creating these wish lists, or I'm getting deeper into like the backlog of tasks from like ongoing monthly work where it's like, hey, like we're actually moving through this stuff more quickly. We're able to ship more stuff, which is nice. Um, so, but like I, I had mentioned this. I made a note about this. We were talking about like working at Shopify. I was like, oh, sweet. Like I can work at Shopify now because I'm getting good at AI. And Toby had this leaked memo that like made the rounds as well about how they were really Shopify was really encouraging the use of AI. Even before like asking for like more manpower, like more help or support or whatever kind of type thing, which was really really neat to see. So AI kind of becoming this like extension of that. So I know a lot of people have talked about the concern that AI is going to take jobs and whatever. I don't know. It's just making us more productive. So in the sense of like, I don't know, maybe if before it took, 4 devs to do something and now it only takes 2 with AI.
I don't know,
Um,
man.
I don't know. You don't know.
I,
You don't know.
well, maybe you figured it out. I still feel like I have not quite gotten to a point where I'm like, okay, coding with cursor, that's what I tend to use,
Coding
has
with
really
cursor.
been
I
a
like
good
that. That is nice. Nice alliteration,
thanks. I didn't mean that. But is there all that helpful? Like for example, I was actually okay, I was using Chat GPT directly for this. I'm like, I should try this whole agent thing. I'm gonna make some agents to help me with my newsletter curation, right? And so I'm like,
Mm,
okay, if I give you a link, can you go out and pull in like the author and the article body? And for the most part it works, but it doesn't work like on Twitter or X. It doesn't work on LinkedIn, which is
mm.
like where 90% of these things are these days. And then I'm like, okay, well, how about YouTube? If I give you a YouTube URL, can you go and get the title and the URL and maybe even the transcript? Like that'd be great. And every time, I kid you not, I give it a YouTube URL, it pulls in some random video. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, 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 like the exact URL. I'm like, some other random video comes back. I'm like, okay, this is crap. So
Yeah.
I could be doing it wrong, but it just doesn't
Well,
work for a lot of
yeah, I
things.
think it depends on what you're using it for in general, and that is, I think that's the tough part. Like you have to figure out what it is and isn't good at. I think just
And
almost
you
like
have
it's
to
an
know that it doesn't do it right because it doesn't tell you it's not doing
yes,
it right. It thinks that was
yes,
right. And it's like,
yeah. That's what I was telling some. It's like the
be on
problem
your
with like
guard.
working with like AI versus a person. A person will be like, hey, I think this is right, like kind of, and like you could sense the like I'm not sure. AI every single time with a smile will lie straight to your face and be like, this is
Yeah,
the answer, and then you can even prompt it, be like, hey, no, that's definitely not right. This is actually the case. And be like, oh, I'm sorry. Like
that's right.
you're absolutely right. And you're like, what? But so no, and that is the thing is I think I've gotten better. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of podcasts ago, where I had just tried to use just AI for an entire project, and like it helped me like really speed through the first half of
Oh,
it
for
or
sure.
whatever. And like I was like, yes, this is awesome. But then the last half, I would have been better off if I would have just like let the thing alone because it created twice as much work and and so like it caught up with what it would have
Yeah.
basically done if I would have just done it without it. And so I thought it was interesting, but because of that, I'm starting to recognize now when it stops being helpful, because like you get to this point where it's just like, yeah, like this is not working out, man. It's like I'm just gonna take it from here, kind of type thing,
Yeah.
and then just use it to like debug errors at that point on, kind of type thing. So that for me at least has been the case. I don't use it as much for like some of the stuff that you're talking about, like just like, hey, hit this URL and give me this data or
Well,
whatever
it was
kind of
kind of
type
an
thing.
experiment. It was an experiment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like at least from like code perspective, writing content, there's still a lot of like revisions. I like to use it as more of the back and forth, more of the, the ducky, sometimes. I love
You
that
got so much
squeaks.
cool swag. I've got nothing. Well, I'm in a library, but at home I've
Well,
got nothing.
I mean, I bought the ducks. This one just, I
Oh,
was, I was fortunate to get, this one was one of the limited editions. They only came out with so many of the yellow ones. The rest of them are green. I somehow managed to, I think it's because like as soon as it dropped, like I got a bunch of them. Like, it's like, oh man, like we better give Taylor one of these. Like this is get him to leave us alone. Stop complaining about stuff. So anyways, yeah, that's so yeah, Shopify and using AI. It's obviously AI is still terrible with Liquid. Anything with Liquid, it's horrible. So but other stuff like Rails is great.
is it?
JavaScript is pretty good. I love it for regex stuff. What's that?
Well, there's a guy. Can't remember his name. I'm so sorry. He's a Shopifyer, and I think it was either an SDA or in the Slack, and he like said, "Hey, did any of you guys use Cursor, or was it VS Code?" And he had some special like person instructions that he dropped to say, "Hey, try this, see if it makes it any better."
Hmm.
Did you get that? Did you try it?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Is
I'll
this
have to
making
double
any
check
sense?
that.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm talking
I'm
about, though?
pretty sure I know what you're talking about. I'll have to double
Okay.
check that and see because maybe I'm missing some stuff there from the liquid standpoint. I just don't trust it with liquid anymore, basically, and I just write my own stuff for that. So,
Okay.
um, which I mean, speaking of which, good segue talking about liquid.
Yeah. Liquid
General
Weekly.
Shopify coolness
Oh, all right.
additions.dev. They're doing a liquid hackathon. Did you see that?
I saw that, and I'm glad I didn't have to sign up for it because I thought I would be toast.
I know. I was talking to some of the people that were looking to get in, and I was like, oh no, like I'm not applying. I'm not trying to. So they're doing it like it's a really small segment of people. Like it's like 16 individuals, and they're gonna do it. I think the day before the editions event at like the before party, whatever we're calling it, kind of type thing. Um, which the schedule is out now. It's missing some details, but it is
I was
out.
gonna say,
Maybe they'll
it's in
have
a
it by the time the
schedule,
episode's
really.
out. It's a well, what do they
Like
call it?
placeholder.
Like an agenda, I think is what they called it. So it's got like the time slots, but it's missing a lot of details.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad they released something that was nice or whatever. So I think I'm sure they're just like trying to figure out like probably like speakers, like where they're gonna plug specific people in, like the lineup or whatever, and
They call it
like
a schedule.
space and they did, but it's
Anyway,
not.
it's
They
cool.
call it schedule on the site. I think when they sent out an email, they called it an agenda, I think, or something like that. I don't know. I could be making that up. So I probably am making that up. I'm probably trying to like make too much amends there for Shopify. So, um, but I'm glad they released something. That was nice, at least. So details are definitely lacking, but hackathon should be cool. I'm really looking forward to watching other people who are way better at Liquid than I am, like jump in there and crank some stuff out. So that was like Trudy from Design Packs
That's
mentioned
right.
Anne was looking to get in. I was like, if Anne's gonna be in
Man,
there, that's no way. She's gonna crush. Like, there's no way.
did you watch? Okay,
That's
speaking again to movies, do you remember that movie, The Wizard, from like 1988? And it was basically an advertisement for Super Mario 3, but it had
mm-mm.
Fred Savage in it and and it was a whole thing about Super Mario 3. And at the
Okay.
end, there's like this big game tournament between like the young protagonist and then like the antagonist character. And so they got like the different groups behind each of these people, and they're on stage trying to play this game and see who gets the highest score.
I've never
That's how
seen
I
this.
see this hackathon going down, but I like want to be a team Anne. And so like I think we should get some like jackets or coats or something so we can stand behind her while she's doing this live in front of
Oh, that'd
everybody
be
as I
amazing.
envision it and
Yeah,
support her.
I
So
don't know who all is gonna be doing it, so it'll be really cool to see. But yeah, that would be awesome. I'm gonna have to watch this now.
you can get a clip on YouTube of just that end scene if you don't. And it has the Nintendo Power Glove in the movie. Oh man, that was like kid cocaine back in the day in terms of like this is so amazing. This whole thing. There's dinosaurs in it. It's a great movie.
It sounds like a great movie. No, I've never seen this. This looks awesome.
Yeah. So
I'll watch it.
take a volume and watch it.
That's I don't have any more Valiant things. They did. I don't know. I'm so weird about pain meds and stuff, and like I'm very anti. Like even after that, like I just took like some ibuprofen or Tylenol or something. So that stuff
That's what I
scares me, man. Like scares me. Um, but anyways, so
sorry.
editions, awesomeness. There's a bunch of events surrounding editions as well,
I know.
and so actually, Jordan Finneran had created an events link just to like cover all that stuff. Like obviously, Mantle's got their Tectonic event is what they're calling it this year, and then there's a couple of other cool events and stuff that are happening surrounding editions as well. So definitely check that out. We'll have that in the show notes too. Also, I just put this in a section in the outline here is general Shopify coolness that
I
I wanted
see
to make sure
this.
to call out a couple of things. The Shopify Devs account on Twitter X has started doing these really cool recaps, which I thought was super helpful as well. So just like kind of like doing big updates and stuff across platform like during like the month. So they've got this April recap that we'll go ahead and post as well. One of the biggest, coolest callouts that I saw here recently was Shopify dropping this update in the customizer now. Michael Thomas from Clean Canvas originally this is the first time I saw this, and so we'll include the link to the post, the tweet, whatever we're going to call it these days. And so, but you can now copy and paste sections in the customizer, which is very handy. I used to just like straight up just grab JSON to do this instead of like read, because you have these big content sections that you want to live in other places that isn't necessarily the header or footer where you can like have it on each page. And so this was like a huge bonus that Shopify finally included this. So you can't it's within the same theme. Like you can't like copy one section from one theme on a page and then jump to another theme and then go to a different page and paste it in or whatever. So it's within that theme. You can copy and paste it onto different templates. So really neat, really handy how it works.
That's
So
cool.
yes, it is cool. Also, did you see you can rename sections now actually properly in the
Oh,
customizer? I know you probably don't play around there as much because you're a Rails
good
dev,
serious
so
work.
you're doing the app stuff. So,
Swearing at
but
cursor.
yes, a lot of real nice stuff has been dropping from Shopify Dev. So I'm curious what they're waiting for additions because some of these feel like really big wins. I'm like they're gonna drop something sweet at additions here. So
They're just going to announce that Harshdeep's working there. I think that's all the
that's
additions
it.
need to
That's the
be.
whole thing.
Anyway,
They've cleared the
um,
schedule. The schedule's all fake. It's gonna be a harsh deep fest.
that's really cool. Thanks for those updates. Speaking of which, I see you've got quite the change log.
I know it's probably
No,
too
no, it's
much.
good. We like
It's
it.
it's too much.
People
It's
know
I
how
don't
to
know. We'll
fast
see.
forward.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, you can. We'll skip it. Like this is where it's at. Change log. Like so, if you want to skip it to get to our, oh, we got
Picks of
picks
the
of the
week. That's all
week.
people are here for, really. It's the picks
That's
of the week.
yeah. So they can always just go to the end anyways. So did you see? This was a really
No, I
big
didn't.
deal. Did you see the update to Shopify's app developer revenue share? As somebody
I
who's about to
did.
submit their first app and obviously cross over the $1 million mark very quickly.
I was gonna say, it seemed like people were all Twitter about it. I was like, $1 million? That seems like a big threshold. I think we're okay, but
Yeah, yeah,
you
it's
would
all of
think.
the yeah. So for those of you that have not seen it, we'll have it in the show notes. The $1 million threshold that we're talking about previously before was per year, and it would reset before Shopify had $1 million. And so Shopify is now going off of lifetime revenue. But I thought this was nice. Lifetime revenue starting in January 1, 2025. It's not like they went back and were like, hey, all y'all that are crushing it at like a million plus or whatever, we're not going way back. It's like starting from January 1, 2025. This is the new lifetime mark. Uh, we're going to start counting that. After the $1 million, you're going to look at 15% rev share. And so I thought that was like, those were super cool as someone who doesn't have an app in the App Store and doesn't have $1 million laying around. I do understand probably from some devs' perspectives, like one large app dev basically was like, like that was a nice 150K a year, basically, and so
Yeah, that starts to
like
hurt.
that's right. So like when you think about it from that perspective, you're like, oh, like that's like, potentially somebody's salary, right? Like or whatever kind of type thing.
Or half of it.
So
I don't know what you
or
make.
half of it. That's yeah, all these app devs they're very well paid for their devs. And so that was really interesting. You see stuff on both sides, obviously, but again, I don't know that anybody should have been super surprised by this. Like they reenacted like the rev share in the theme store like months ago, and so I was really surprised that people were like, "What?" Like this just kind of makes sense, right? So, and also 15%, like, isn't it like the iOS, isn't the Apple Store like
30%.
30%? Yeah. So, like, 15% still feels like quote unquote fair. Again, not as somebody who has a bunch of employees or running an app that's like at this phase or whatever. Um, I don't know. Interesting. So, yeah, if you haven't heard the news, here you go. Like,
Surprise!
after your million starting in January 1, 2025 from lifetime revenue, Shopify's going to start taking their cut. So, and we all believe that's because they're going to be making everything better for app devs and theme devs and partners in general. So let's just call that what it is. Okay, cool. Next one, POS UI extensions for the Cart API. This one is an action required. So if you're working in POS UI
Pay attention.
extensions, yeah, pay attention. This is a big deal. You probably would have known. Hopefully, you would have known by this time. But the customer fields removed from subscribable hook. I thought that this was like a like typo, but like this is a thing. Subscribable. I'm not sure. I don't even know how to say this. It provides a subscription to POS cart changes. And so you get an initial value and a callback. Subscribe value changes. And so it currently supports only one subscription, blah, 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 blah. So, anyways, basically they're removing this hook, and so you need to be aware of this as time goes on. Hopefully, somebody can also tell me how's the proper way to pronounce
It's
this.
subscribable.
Subscribable,
Hmm.
subscribable. Okay,
Make sure you say that at editions.dev when you talk to them.
subscribable. That's what it is. Subscribable.
Subscribable.
Subscribable. I don't know. I was looking at that like it was up backwards. Anyways, so check that out. More action required.
Yeah.
The WebPixels API as well. There's a new thing for you here. Let's see. Yeah, I had notes on this, and then I was like, oh shoot, I just lost it. So
That'd be a good name
um,
for a band, the Web Pixies.
the web pixies. Yeah. So the pixels and stuff have been super helpful in general, if not kind of frustrating and confusing in sometimes because they are hard to like test to some degree if you're doing stuff outside of probably like general convention stuff like Google Tag Manager and stuff is what I use this for a lot. But like web devs and stuff, obviously web pixels API, the event data checkout subtotal price amount value in web pixels API has been updated. Um, and so it used to include some of all line item price and product level discounts, but not order level. And so now it should. So that's fun.
Okay.
Probably a necessary change for the new thank you page and checkout events specifically. So check that out for that. And it does have the specific events in here: checkout completed, checkout started, yada yada yada. If you're using those events, you'll need to be aware of that change. Okay. Not action required, just a nice little new thing added to the admin GraphQL API. You can actually issue a specified amount for store credit when processing refunds. That's kind of
That
cool.
seems
So this, yeah, super practical, right? Like you can like issue a refund, but then give somebody like a custom $5 store credit or something on top of that. That seems really cool. So thought that was nice. Okay, cool. And then, okay, another app dev thing here. There's some more automated checks for app review pre-submission page. So, Karl, this is something when you're doing the app here, you want to check this out. There's some new automated checks to the App Store review process, help you prepare your app for submission. Get some faster feedback, which is nice. Some people have talked about that, preventing some common errors. So, some stuff like, that it immediately authenticates after install, redirects to the app UI, uninstalls or reinstalls correctly. So they're going to do a lot of this stuff just automated. That way they don't have to include some of these things as part of that. So just check that out as far as when you're looking to submit your app. That stuff's all changing relatively regularly. And last one, action is required. Not required. It's just you should probably know or have gotten notice that payment apps are no longer allowed to be embedded in the Shopify admin. So if your app
hmm,
um, did that, like it's not going to be a thing. So requirements have also been updated to reflect the change as well. So there you go. It's a lot, I know. So hopefully y'all made it through all that.
I'm still here,
Whew.
barely. I'll be honest, I tuned out a little bit because I was trying to secretly generate a cover image for a band named Web Pixies using ChatGPT. I thought that'd be cool to show, and it won't do it because it says it violates content policies.
Oh dang it! Try Grok on that one
Oh
doesn't
yeah, they
care
don't
about
care.
anything. It's like yeah, whatever.
They're
We're
above
gonna
the law.
violate all the
It's fine.
policies.
Well, thank you for that. That is super. That really is super helpful. And some people, astute listeners, might notice that some of those show up in Liquid Weekly in subsequent weeks because you do my work for me. So
I'm
thank you.
doing your homework for you. Yeah, there you go.
Anywho, all right. So
Picks of the
wow,
week.
yeah, I thought we had like 15 minutes of stuff to talk about today. Here we are, solid hour and 10 minutes. Let's do picks. I'll go first. I actually have two because I can do that. I'm also above the law when it
What?
comes to the context of this. Um, I first is Obsidian. LogSec is so March 2025. I waxed eloquently about LogSec a little while
I was
ago.
gonna say.
I realized I was using it primarily for the journaling feature,
Yeah,
and that's about it. And so I was looking at Obsidian, which had some other advantages, and there were plugins that would do the journaling pretty much just like LogSec. So, well, I'll try this out.
killer.
Yeah, I'm liking it. Using it a lot. I'm preparing for a trip and well, including editions, and I'm using it to like take all my uh, anxiety related notes about everything I need to remember and keep in mind, and you know, countermeasures and plans for contingencies if different things go awry. So that's been really helpful for that.
Nice.
Sure, it's healthy.
Now, I've tried Obsidian before. I just thought it was like really complicated. Maybe I need to come back because is Obsidian the one that does like the cool like mind mapping stuff too? Is that
If
Obsidian?
it does, I haven't gotten that far. I'm sure it does. That Logitech does that too, like the graphs thing, but you don't have to do that.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, I kind of I fell off the wagon with
It's
it or whatever
Markdown.
because I
You
really
just
wanted it
write
to work.
stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, cool, 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 cool.
Try it again. I think you're smart enough.
Well, I'm trying to like now get Raycast for iOS came out, so like
Yeah,
I
you're a
actually have that.
hardcast. You're hardcore Raycast. You know what? Why save that
I'm
for
a
your
huge
pick?
fan.
This is my pick, Taylor. I
I'm
don't.
not trying to hijack it. That's what I was just saying. Like I was just pointing out. So maybe I'll try Obsidian again. I'm sorry.
We could do a whole episode where you tell
Get
us
your
about
second
how
one. Get your
amazing
second one.
Raycast is. Um, my
If they
second one,
sponsor it, if we get them to sponsor it, we'll do it. If someone's got a connection at Raycast, let them know. We'll do a whole episode on it.
would be great. I'd be up for that. Andor season 2 just came out last week.
Okay.
And you're gonna
Nice.
think, Carl, all you ever do is watch TV and eat pretzels, and you wouldn't be that far off the mark. But I don't just do that. But I'm particularly excited about Andor. I feel like there's a lot of Star Wars spin-offs,
Mhm.
and I feel in the movie space, Rogue One, far and away one of the best movies post the original three trilogy, and then Andor, I feel like from the TV series, that's the one where they really hit the mark. And I really enjoyed season 1. I rewatched it and it's like, oh, this is so good. And season 2 so far has been amazing as well. So, but I think this is the last season, so enjoy it while it lasts.
Nice. I'll have to try that again because that's on Disney, right? Like Disney
Disney
Plus.
Plus. Yeah.
Okay. Disney Plus. Yeah, that's then you can't just get Disney. Well, that we cycle through the subscriptions because anyways, we had it last month and now we're on Netflix this month, so I'll have to wait until Disney swings around again and then I'll jump on your Andor train here.
You know, if you did the whole monetization thing I told you about earlier, you could afford, I think, to carry
I could afford
two
multiple
sources.
streaming services. This is that should be that's my goal, like right? Like
Yeah.
so I can pay for all the stream. Did you I don't know. Like we just got to the point there was just so many and like we weren't using half of them
Yeah.
probably. So now at least it's good. Got to teach the kids like you can't always get everything you want whenever you want. So, but yeah, then I could secretly still have my own subscription, just not
I
tell
was gonna say,
them.
unless
So
you're dad, and then you do, you just don't tell everybody.
that's the kind of dad I am. So, so my pick of the week is frozen berries. So that's my pick, Carl.
Boring.
So it is pretty boring. I actually felt bad about it to some degree because I knew yours were going to be solid, and of course they were.
Oh, they were. Yeah.
And so but no, I don't. Do you like fruit in general? Are you a fruit
Yeah.
guy?
I
You a
prefer
fruity guy?
fruit. Yeah.
I don't. I've never liked berries and fruit and stuff or whatever. Like I would rather eat vegetables a lot of times than fruit, which is weird because it's not like I don't like sweets. Like I
Got
love
that
sweets.
backwards.
Yeah, I know it's very confusing. And so anyways, I've never really enjoyed fruit. I've been trying to watch like my macronutrients. I'm paying attention to all this stuff, right? While I'm trying to be healthier and whatnot. And so I was trying to get fruit and someone had mentioned like, oh, you should try frozen berries. Because oftentimes like the frozen berries anyways, they're actually more nutritious. They have more nutritional value for you than traditional fruit that you would buy at a grocery store because most of the time that fruit has been out for
Oh
it's
yeah.
been on truck for weeks before it finally gets to the store, and then even then they're changing stuff out, and so they're like frozen berries. They're flash frozen right when they're picked, and so it's just like that's the most nutritious you're going to get. You can throw it into a protein shake or whatever, and have it with some ice cream or some yogurt, and just call it good. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll do this, and I don't mind it. Like it's pretty good. So frozen
Expensive
berries,
though.
if you're not typically a fruity person, try it.
That's a good tip. Thanks, Taylor. I did learn the other day that berries like grapes and blueberries, I'm assuming, well, no, not strawberries. Certain types of berries, like they will no longer ripen once they're picked. It's like some
Oh, really?
berries or some fruit you bring home, like you leave it on the counter because it continues to like ripify,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but those
Ribify,
don't. So I was telling my wife,
ripen.
like, look, stop leaving these things on the counter. They're just going to go bad quicker. They're not getting any better. So put them in the fridge. So
That's good to know. Yeah, I just
confirmed. Yeah.
there you go. Like all your fruit tips, you're gonna get them here on Liquid Weekly Podcast. All
That's
right.
why people come.
That is.
All right, I'm going to go buy some frozen berries today. Thanks for that, Taylor.
You got it. You
I'm gonna
got it.
write
I'll
about
check
it
out
in
Obsidian
Obsidian.
again. I'll check out Obsidian again. Wait,
Dear Diary.
what was your
I
second thing?
tried Frozen Berries. Andor season 2.
Yeah, Andor season 2. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I missed
Yeah.
it for that. Burp. I got it. I got it.
All right. Well, we've reached peak episode here. So end it.
We should end it. We
All
should.
right.
Unless you've got something
Well, hey.
good. Were you holding out on me?
No,
I was.
I give you all my
I'm
all.
sorry.
I do every episode.
I interrupted your outro. I'm sorry.
Well, hey, you've wasted another perfectly good hour you could have spent coding, listening to the Liquid Weekly podcast. Taylor, thanks for joining me today. And audience, thank you for sticking around. For Car, hope you had a good workout, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Happy hacking.